3d6 down the line.
Episode 50, I'm proud to say, is in the books. Welcome to the Detox.
Wow.
Who needs David to have a little chaos? Huh?
Yeah, that's actually true. Now that I think about it, David is going to be so psyched to listen or hear this or watch this episode. This is right up his alley.
Now the question is which party will David go with?
Oh, you got to put him in party.
Which party would Rin go with? Right. That's the key.
Damn, dude. Damn.
Yeah.
This is really interesting because, like, and tell me if you guys also sort of feel this. This is super interesting, right? Being in this gargoyle room, God knows what's going on. I'm also deeply regretting being in this gargoyle room. I don't want to be here. I mean, some of that is just, I've invested a lot into Mort and that kind of thing, and he's just going to get eaten by beastmen, and that's sad. But I'll go to Titus, and that's fine. That's the name of the game. But I'm like, oh my God!
Well, don't give up yet.
No. What happened? We were doing so good.
Were we though, Ted? Were we doing good? It feels like we've been getting our asses kicked ever since we went to Fire Portal thing. Like we've just been getting our asses handed to us. So
I mean, a little bit. The Eustace thing,
a little bit,
wasn't great.
You were making progress. Like you had legitimately left the level, right? Like you were on the way out somewhere, right?
We were on the way out.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
We had a couple of moments where we were a little careless and some bad stuff happened, but then we went back to playing it, by the book and by the numbers, and we got out of there. And it's like you walk up the stairs, you walk in the room, boom, we're teleported, and it's like, holy shit! I ran out of the frying pan into the fire. Can
I just talk about what a weird game design decision that is, to have a room that is almost guaranteed to split the party in a very drastic fashion, not some people disappear and they go here. We are now in two entirely different areas, and it's almost like by design from that whole thing. It's just crazy that you would do that in a game. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's certainly an interesting choice. What I'm saying is sorry, John, this is going to suck for you for a while.
Well, there's nothing to be done for it. I mean, it's a brutal room because there's very little telegraphing that can be done, right? Like you guys did nothing wrong. You shouldn't regret any of your actions. Like you just walked. And carefully looking around and all that kind of stuff. And there's just an effect that it's like if you walk within a certain amount with it, on this plane of sight, you're gone. Now it's not necessarily true that you would naturally split the party. Like if a couple people like you did went ahead and scouted, which would be a normal thing for an adventuring party to do. Like Matt, for instance, could have done the thing where it's just like, I want to keep the party together, so I'm going to walk into that line of sight as well and just do that would have been a totally legitimate decision as well. He didn't do that, so the party was split.
That is what I was considering. Like, what do I want to do? And I did want it before we went, just on the off chance that it was like an out and back, right? Like you go, you teleport, you do a thing, and you come back. I wanted to see if this really was the way out, and the failed logic that I had was that if Lyda's group came in this way and made it past that thing, then it probably wasn't going to do anything.
Right? Well, and I wonder if, of course, we just did this whole last level backwards, right? So this room, and John won't tell us here, but it's possible that it would have been telegraphed, or there would have been some clue on how to handle the room if you came from a different direction.
Maybe.
Right? Because obviously you can walk through the room without teleporting. Lyda did it.
Yeah.
So we just did it backwards. We had no warning. We had no instructions. We didn't see the big sign that says, don't look in the eyes or whatever, that kind of thing.
That's good thinking, Ted. So, and just by the nature of the room itself, the fact that it looked to be like a major crossroads, right? That there were four cardinal direction exits out of that room. Strangely, though, only one of them was used, right? But
we misinterpreted the footprints for sure.
What occurred, though, with both sides there may give you a hint as to why the pathway did not seem to have a genesis from one of the other pathways, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's brutal. I was reading the description. I had done this beforehand because I anticipate that you guys were going to reach the room. I was like, oh my god, it's going to be brutal. Well, not brutal. I just thought it was going to be really fun. I was like wherever you go, you're just going to be hopping between. It's really really cool. So I had to do like a lot of reading ahead with an anticipatory like what might have happened. What I did not anticipate is that Matt would not choose to go with the party. I'm not judging it. It's totally cool and totally fine and fun. It's an interesting challenge. But I just thought like the party would, as a whole, kind of move to wherever they ended up going. So yeah, I've never done this. I think it's a good call. I reserve the right to reverse it, but I think the having backup characters sort of, so people aren't kind of hanging out just being wallflowers while everybody else is having fun.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, assuming we all reunite again, right? Then it'll be interesting to try and figure out what do you do with all those extra bodies.
Yeah.
Maybe at that point, the AV Club is basically like a multinational corporation, and we have like.
I think that's exactly what it was always intended to be with old school play.
Right.
It's except like what it's becoming more like is more like an open table game where you have new players and returning players kind of filtering in and out week to week, except with our case, it's more like the PCs are like that rather than the players. So you have a stable of PCs that you can switch in between whenever you sort of want, which is assuming you live and you all reunite, which is a big assumption to make, but if that is the case, you would be able to, like, say you all get back to the Broken Head, and all of the PCs are there, you would be able to choose who you wanted to go adventuring with on any given day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think in my mind, like, anticipating forward, I think it would work. So yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm super curious what's going to happen with the retainers in that room. I have no idea because it seems like they would do something, like they don't want to stay there.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
like,
I'll be transparent.
Something. She's living her best life, dude. She's like smiley, happy, like, exercising and not wearing her armor, and seems like she's totally chill, right? It's just
Sam
Codzlop is giving me some concern.
Yeah, and
we're talking about Mort. Jost and Lyda and Lisbeth.
Oh yeah, those guys. They might be fucked.
Yeah,
so that's what I was talking about.
You have committed a cardinal sin because you have separated Jost from the group, and no one out there is going to be happy about that. So I hope you're ready for the.
You have separated Jost because he could go either direction and be like, "No, Jost, I'm coming with you."
Yeah.
Or he could say that to Mort.
Yeah. So to be totally transparent, I knew that the session was coming to a close and that you wouldn't get too far ahead from your teleportation spot. So I deferred the decision that the retainers would naturally make until next time, because I need to think about it. Like, I need to think about each of their motivations and like who they would choose to go with. Yeah. Like, Njaal's a no-brainer, but you're playing Njaal, so
right.
Njaal, actually, I would think Matt
would have gone with Avaricios.
Well, no, because he didn't know that they were teleporting, so Njaal would have. We determined that Njaal followed.
Sure.
And we'd like him. He's been trying to be more upfront to soak up more of the damage, so he would have been up with that advance.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm totally comfortable with the retcon, but I would think while you're playing Njaal, Matt, that the separation from from your Han Solo in your Chewbacca role would be tearing you up inside, basically, right? Like, that's the man you owe a blood debt to, that you were sworn to protect. Right, because of what you did to him, and now you have no idea where he is. Like, you would probably be ridden with guilt.
I left him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I had to think about who do we have? We have Elizabeth, Lyda, and Jost. I need to make decisions for. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say, that's. I mean, it could go either way, but I can see where Lyda would follow Avaricios just because that's the way she knew she came from. But you could say she would follow Mort because Mort is just so darn charming.
Yeah.
Or she might scamper.
I'm just going to say, though, if Lyda follows Avaricios, she's probably going to die.
No, if she follows you guys, she'll die. If she
No.
follows me,
She follows
She'll be
you.
a-
She's going to be falling from 10 feet. She's going to take a D6 points
oh
of damage.
yeah,
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
You guys should probably throw some like an old mattress down or something on those rocks.
You also have to think too, like what are their views on something supernatural like that happening? Would they be willing to step into it? That kind of thing. That's why I kind of have to think to myself, like,
yeah.
what they might do. I may actually make some dice rolls on my end. I'm not going to try to screw you over or anything like that, but I just need to think clearly through what their motivations would be.
Yeah.
Well, it's possible we might need to retcon anyway, because I mean, I did want to leave that window open in case somebody did run.
Oh yeah,
like,
you did say that. Yeah. How long did you wait there though?
I said we wanted to give it a while, just to give people a chance.
Yeah.
At that point, there's not really a time consideration because it's 9:50 in the morning. And the inn is like 30 minutes away. So they could literally wait there for a couple of hours. And maybe, Matt, you could rig something so that anyone coming through that teleport thing is not going to take a D6 worth of damage,
Yeah.
So,
You can invent the trampoline really fast.
seriously.
Yeah. Okay, so
Pull a
yeah,
pillow
if
from
I
the,
rule that
sack.
anyone followed Avaricios, then I will retcon that they popped out.
Came
But
with
I do need to think about it. I may come to the conclusion that no one did. So we'll see. Yeah.
Can I just say like one thing too that I really, really, really am regretting not having infravision. Like it's really, really, really a struggle. And it's really, really a struggle when you're trying to play a stealth character to not have infravision. Like that plan of scaling up there and everything like that was I thought overall it didn't work out the way we wanted to. But as soon as I got to the top of that thing and I can't see anything, it's like, oh well, why did I even bother?
Yeah. It's hard.
It's
It
funny.
could have
Like
been a halfling up there and I still would have been hosed because I would have been like ineffective.
Yeah.
it's funny. Like that's been on my mind for much of this campaign because like Avaricios has that ring that can let him be invisible, but it's useless in many situations because you also have to carry the light source, right? Like when Onweir, when he ran off like invisible but carrying a torch, Avaricios was back just shaking his head like, what's this guy doing?
Right,
Why is he doing that? You're stirring up dust. You've got a light source. Yeah. That's why he doesn't do it very often because it doesn't do anything if you can be detected.
Absolutely.
It really reminds me of when I was playing when I was a kid, and I would always play characters with infravision for a lot of these reasons. And then when we started playing like 3.5 and 5e and stuff, we stopped worrying about light as much.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on why that's the case.
Well,
yes, for all the obvious reasons.
I started playing humans almost exclusively because I liked things about the humans that they were just dead boring in AD&D. Like they,
they're awesome at 5th edition because
really
they get the feet. Everyone knows it's because of the fucking feet.
I started playing humans because I just I don't care about the infravision because I don't need it anymore really. But now I really like having it.
Yeah,
well,
when
I'm running my kids game in 5e and like the first level characters, 2 of them have a cantrip that just is light.
Yeah, that's the reason.
It's just it's like at that point, who cares, And they can cast it at will, and they can cast it on a rock and throw it down a hall. They don't think that well, but and you throw it into a room ahead of them, and they're like, "Oh, is there anything in there?" And it's just like, like at least out of a group of like 6, 3 of them have a light cantrip, and I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Such
at that
a
point,
poor design decision. I know that the focus is not on exploration with fifth edition; and it's focused on combat, but the ramifications of the light cantrip are so. Rippling outwards into the basic gameplay. It's just it boggles my mind that passed committee. You know what I mean? And made it into the rule books. It's such a poor decision. It makes me angry just thinking about it. I'm sorry. I'm just so irritated.
I don't disagree. Although I do think that I remember, when that I guess it was 3.0 came out, and there were a lot of things that happened at that version that I think were written by people who were exactly the same place as I was, which is that we'd gone through, first and second editions kind of worrying about various things such as light sources and torches and stuff. And like I remember first reading that and being like, oh, this is great. Like, I don't have to worry about torches anymore, or like, oh, I can play human now. Right. And I thought it was awesome because it freed me up of something that I saw as a burden.
Yeah.
And it is, but it turns out it's kind of the fun part burden. It's like, you know, it's the challenge part.
Well, I feel like
I really get why they did it. At the time, it made a lot of sense, and I thought it was great.
I totally agree. I was in the same mindset, absolutely the same mindset. And you guys can correct me if I'm sorry, Matt, that you weren't part of this whole sequence through the '80s, but
I got into this with Dark Vision, and hey, now I don't have it. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but when we were young, playing AD&D and stuff like that, it was we were not playing it the way that we're playing OSR right now. So we didn't understand why the burden, which we viewed as just a burden and like bad design and like just annoying, how the only reason that the limitations of light and resource management work is if it's meshed with the procedural play of dungeon crawling and wilderness hex crawling and all that kind of stuff. Like it only works if it's joined with the other rules as well, right? Yeah. I'm not putting it bad. Like David would nail this, but
you're absolutely right that when you're 10, the step-by-step, movement and turns and torches and spells,
we never did any of that. Yeah,
no,
never.
Yeah,
no. I mean, I remember reading about it and being like, I don't know. And not
boring.
Yeah, it's boring. It's math. You don't want to do that. It sounds
no.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm absolutely love it now. It's very cool. But yeah, when I was 10, it was not cool at all.
Yeah.
Well, when you think of like the evolution of role playing games through like the late 80s and into the 90s, right? Like, I think that what happened was Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, or whoever owned it back then, I can't even remember. I think it was Wizards of the Coast. They followed that trend, right? Because you saw all these other games coming out where that wasn't a thing, right? Like where the story was the more important thing. The characters were the focus of the game. And then I think 3.0 was a reaction to those trends in a business. I think it was always made at a corporate boardroom level. So
100%.
3.0 was like 1999, I think.
Yeah, so TSR was doing all the AD&D. It was all TSR, right? Mm-hmm. And then Wizards acquired them in 97, continued a few paltry years of shitty products from 97 to 99 at the tail end of second edition, and then they came out with third edition. But by and large, we're talking about TSR editions. But you're absolutely right. You know what I think the game and obviously company was Vampire and White Wolf, right? Like them coming onto the scene, actually giving TSR a run for its money as far as sales and popularity and stuff like that, woke up the whole scene, right? And like, oh, this is what people want now. And that means, story games, inwardly focused, character focused, that sort of thing.
Cool powers. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
I could use a cool power right now, though. I will say.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't that be? Yeah.
This would be the time to suddenly have, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
The big thing that is I'm worried about where we are right now is I'm worried about the pin and Leryl's cloak and the +2 shield and Clavum all being left in a moldering pit. Who knows where in this dungeon? Like that would be a huge hit to the party in general. If we don't get any of these items back.
Yeah, because it's one thing to have a TPK and know where the stuff is, and then one to have a TPK and it's just being lost somewhere in the dungeon.
Yeah.
That's
well,
brutal.
I mean, I do have the locate object spell. But I mean, guys, if you think about it, I'm in the tough choice of like, do I go for the stew or like more of a roast beef kind of a situation?
What an asshole.
Prepare you. I mean, Mike, you're like, oh no, what's going to happen to the pin and the shield? And I'm thinking, what's going to happen to Mort, dude? Like,
he's already written them off. Yeah.
Get with the program, Ted. You got like 12 hit points and an army of beastmen like right behind you and like 6 gargoyles. Get with the program. Save the magic items.
You should draw upon the knowledge that or rumors that you have of beastmen, right?
Yeah.
It all may not be lost.
I'm thinking so we know that they have a sort of a rudimentary kind of Arcantian life, right? They're kind of
regimented,
rude Arcantian. They seem to have organized themselves along legionary lines.
Nice, good recall. All right.
I have a theory that they are in fact the descendants of the army that came in with an Aximander and those guys. And so I think
makes sense.
As a former Legionnaire Goblin myself, if I'm in a position to parlay with beastmen, I think we can probably get something going. Right? Because I can greet them in the old, Legionary salutes, and I know, the lingo and stuff, and I might be able to kind of talk my way out of a jam with them. I don't think I can talk my way out of a gargoyle, but.
Yeah. Well, that's like what I was thinking is like, we don't have, because when we were trying to decide like East or West, I was trying to recall, they didn't like goblins, right? They had, but the fights that they were having with goblins were like the goblins encroaching on their territory and them being defensive, right? So if each one of these factions has its own kind of energy right now, at least what we've seen is the beastmen tend to be defensive and their energy, like hold on to what they have, be defensive, set up these barricades and these walls. Remember, there was a barricade, at the now goblin level, right, where the goblins tried to kind of poke at it and got poked back.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect these barricades are here to keep gargoyles out, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yes,
Mike,
but the dragon especially likes to eat them whenever they come up on the surface. So we know that the beastmen. For some reason, we've heard several times that the dragon sees beastmen and is like on him like a goose on a beetle. Right?
Another good recall. Wow,
not bad, Mike. Not bad.
I remember that, and I remember thinking, is that because they're delicious, or is that because there's some bad blood between them for some reason? Or
dragons are smart. It's gotta be something personal.
And Mike, you were very prescient in your description of the room that you teleported to, that as a no man's land.
This is a battleground.
Very good descriptor. This is a
battleground.
Yeah. And don't
so
forget, you used to be in the goblin's place before you guys made yourselves made your presence known back in the day, right? So what was I going to say about? So I wanted to throw this out. I think this is a good time to talk about it because we can have the audience weigh in the comments as well. I could go two ways now that I think about moving forward. We could either continue in the way that we're doing right now, where during a single session, we just kind of switch naturally between the two parties, or we could go an entire session with a single party, then switch to the other party in the next session and go back in time and spend the entire time with that party as well. I would be fine with either, and I could manage both either way. But what do you guys prefer? Because I'm happy to do whatever you want.
Here's my question. Let's say David is able to play with us next week.
Mm-hmm.
So what? I think it kind of depends on where you would allow Rin 2 to be.
Well, I mean, I would imagine it would be the same kind of situation. Wherever Rin 2 goes, his backup would go the other way.
Correct, yeah. So what?
Right?
Does Rin's presence in one of the parties matter as much in determining this?
If you wanted to just say, well, Rin goes with, Niall and Morton, Darius.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we just do that one.
Well, no, it'd be the same situation, Ted. So David would be able to play a character in either situation.
Right, fine.
Yeah.
It's whichever character he doesn't love as much would be the one to go with us in Beastman Land.
But
John, you should make it a contest, dude. You should someone pick a number between 1 and 1,000 that I'm thinking of, and then whoever the winner is, they can pick which party we play that week.
Well, I think I just as far as David goes, I think I'm just going to let David listen to the episode, and then I'll just let him decide which one he wants to be with, like whatever seems more interesting to Rin. And then the backup will go with the other one. But that still leads to my original question. What would you like to do? Do you want to spend one episode with one party or switch in between during a single episode?
Well, this team here is probably going to all die. So that might be real short.
If you're not ready to make the decision, we can talk about it in Discord. I just thought I'd float it right now.
I mean,
I'm not gonna die, man.
I could do it either way. Why
don't
We're
we
gonna
just
get
play
through
2 times a week and then we can do one of each?
Yeah, I wish. We all wish. The audience wishes. I know. Yeah. Okay. I could tell we need to kind of discuss it a little bit further. That's totally fine. We'll figure it out later. But commenters out there, if not that I'm going to be beholden to everybody out there, but if you feel strongly one way or the other, please write it down in the comments or go to the Discord and write it out and explain your reasons why. And I will take them under due consideration. So yeah, anyways, that was an epic episode 50. So thanks guys. That was a lot of fun. And
John,
I have a massive, yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to note, this is the first time in how many episodes some treasure was brought back to a safe haven.
That's right. Yeah. That's absolutely right.
Not much.
Not much. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Now the question becomes is how are you going to do XP between the two parties?
Well, let's see. How would that work? I mean, with Avaricios right now, assuming he goes to bed and wakes up safely, never a safe assumption. There, you would only. Well, let's see. Well, I guess we'd have to abstract a little bit. So,
yeah.
Would I be able to give it to Titus and Lothar or whatever Matt brings back? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
they get 10.
Yeah.
Get 10.
I mean,
it doesn't. It's not, guys. It's not much. It's one bottle of ancient brandy worth 85 gold pieces.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you got a little more than that, I think. But
Yeah.
no, it's not a lot. The point being,
Not
like,
much, yeah.
So it would all go to Avaricios.
right, which makes sense. But I guess I think you have to create two XP tracks.
Yes, correct. Yeah, because the rules is intended is that the whatever money you bring back or any XP you gained is divided equally amongst the party that was adventuring together at that time, right? So it's whatever the makeup of any individual party that gets divided equally amongst those party members, right? So,
Is Av his own party now?
Av right now for this particular session is his own party, but then going forward, it's Lothar and Titus. Sorry, going forward. So I don't think it'll be too difficult. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be more bookkeeping.
I would very much think that Avaricios should take Lothar and Titus immediately to the cache to check on it and unload some of that gold and bring it back to the Broken Head.
And don't forget, you got Sam and possibly Codswallop as well.
Yeah, we got to figure out where he went. Right.
I think Codswallop is a scale. I think we're going to have to off that ass.
I will personally flinch him if he has broken the code of the Goblin Brotherhood.
Yeah, Ted, he's your character. What the hell, man? How dare you? What are you thinking?
You leave a goblin to his own devices for too long. This is what happens.
It was only 4 days. He was supposed to do homework. I gave him a book to read.
I'm just saying, keep your eyes on Mort. Do not let him leave your sight for too long. That's all I'm saying.
Good times.
All right, I gotta get to editing because it's gonna be a task because it's a long one.